Hi, my name is Lara Waldman. I am the Abundance Activator, and today I'd like to speak to you about the importance of a daily practice, especially for sensitive souls. When I'm speaking about a daily practice, I'm speaking about meditation, yoga, conscious movement, but ultimately a space where you're connecting deeply to yourself, to Source, the universe, and to the earth. I had an experience over the holidays where I actually stopped my practice. It's very unusual for me. I have a daily practice which keeps me aligned, keeps me balanced, and for the most part I feel good. For the most part I feel connected and alive and connected to my purpose. But over a 2-week period I stopped this. It was Christmas, the holidays, and I ate and relaxed and drank and had coffee every day. Things that are enjoyable for a bit. The things I tend to try to avoid because they don't make me feel good. But I just fully indulged. And it was okay for the most part. But by the end of this 2-week period, I noticed that I was feeling really heavy, really flat, uninspired. But at the end, the thing that tipped me over the edge was actually I went into quite a heightened state of fear and anxiety. What triggered it off was a few things, but the big one was I was watching this show, this television series, which is really good, but it's very dark. And it just hit me over the edge. I had what I would call a dark night of the soul. I couldn't sleep. I was in a terrible state of anxiety and a terrible state of fear. And this night was a beautiful teaching and reminder for me, which has inspired me to speak to you about this today. For sensitive souls, we feel everything, the energy of everything. It allows me to be a healer and a channel, to be able to pick up on all these subtle energies and vibrations. But the downside is that you can also take on a lot of negative energy and the negative emotions and hold it in your body. So when I watched this dark show, it felt as if that show was in my body. It was as if it was existing for me in real time. And it was really terrifying. So part of my daily practice is meditation, yoga, exercise, but it's also energy clearing out any energy that I may have absorbed or picked up on. And by the end of these 2 weeks, when I hadn't done any practice, I just had an accumulation of a lot of different energies in my body. And that show that I watched just tipped it over the edge. And it was a really terrifying night. And I lay there having deep compassion for everyone who is in pain and suffering, anybody who's struggling. I could feel, I was tapped into millions of people who are really deeply, deeply struggling. And I have huge compassion for anybody who's in this space. And part of my passion or my soul's purpose is to remind people that it doesn't have to be as hard as we make it. Life doesn't have to be as hard as we make it. But it does require your regular, consistent love and attention in order to stay in a more balanced, joyful, happy, connected place. So even me, taking 2 weeks out of a practice, it had quite a big negative impact on me by the end of the 2 weeks. And I realized I can't afford to not do my practice. The cost is too high. And in order to feel good, it requires regular, consistent attention and action. And because I have a regular practice, I sort of take that for granted, that feeling good starts to feel normal to me. But actually, we feel good when we're eating well, when we're exercising, when we're watching our thoughts, when we're meditating, when we're clearing our energy, doing all the different practices to stay balanced and connected to the truth of who you are, connected to Source, connected to the universe, connected to the earth. And from that place of deep connection, we find peace, we find meaning, we find joy, we feel safe. And when we disconnect, like that dark night I had, it just felt lost, being lost at sea in darkness. And it's very scary. It feels very unsafe. It feels very unsafe to be alive. It feels very unsafe to be on the planet. And life feels dark and difficult. So dear soul, dear sensitive soul, feeling good really is a practice. It requires your regular, consistent attention. And we may not always feel like it. You may not always want to meditate. You may not always want to exercise. You may not always want to eat well. But the cost of not doing that is pretty high. But the benefits of a regular practice are just incredible. Where you get to feel good. We're feeling alive. Where you're feeling alive. Where you're feeling connected. Where you feel a sense of home. Of belonging. And those feelings can change in a split second. So for me, all that was required was to do some energy clearing, to meditate, to get back on track, to reconnect to me. I'd abandoned myself, really. And we do, and it's very normal to disconnect and pull away. But I'm here to remind you to come back home. To come back home to you, to reconnect, to create time and space for you to connect to you. It's essential. If you're going to feel good, happy, whole, complete, in alignment with your purpose, happy to be alive, it's going to require your regular time and attention. So I'd like to invite you to carve out time each and every day. I recommend a minimum of 20 minutes a day of meditation, and you could make it a bit longer if you're going to put in some physical movement in there. Carve it out. Put it in your diary if you're not in a regular habit of this already. So dear sensitive soul, please know that if you are struggling, or when you do struggle, there's nothing wrong with you. It's part of our human experience. It's part of our human challenge. But it just means you've disconnected from you. And it's a calling to come back home, to reconnect to source again. That is your lifeline. It is your lifeline. Sending you huge amounts of love for now, and speak to you again very soon.